Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will do an in-ring overview of Jon Jones. This video will differ slightly from previous ones. Instead of pointing out a few wins or losses, we will go over his entire career from his MMA debut until his last fight in 2020. But before we begin, make sure you like and comment on this video. Also subscribe if you haven't. We are looking to hit 500 subs. Also, I have an affiliate link to sports memorabilia in the description if you would like to help out the channel. Thank you for your support. Let's start with his background. Jones was born on July 19, 1987 in Rochester, New York, and he was a standout high school wrestler at Union and Dicot High School in upstate New York. After transferring to Mauriceville State College, Jones began training with Team Bomb Squad out of Cortland, New York. He has also trained at the TriStar Gym in Montreal, Canada, and most recently at Jackson's MMA in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he earned a black belt in Gato-Jutsu under Greg Jackson and a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Roberto Alencar. Now, let's talk about Jones's career highlights. He has won numerous championships, including the NJCAA 197 pounds national championship out of Iowa Central Community College in 2006, the USKBA light heavyweight championship, and the UFC light heavyweight championship, which he has held twice. He has a total of 11 successful title defenses, the most in the UFC light heavyweight division, and he holds the record for the longest light heavyweight champion reign in UFC history at 1,501 days. In his first fight against Brad Bernard at FFP Untamed 20, in a catchweight bout, Jones dominated from the get-go, landing some brutal punches that led to a TKO victory just 1 minute and 32 seconds into the first round. Moving on to his second fight, Jones made his light heavyweight debut at Battle Cage Extreme 4 against Carlos Eduardo. It was a back and forth battle, but in the end, Jones's power proved too much for Eduardo, as he finished him with a series of punches in the third round, securing his second victory. Next up was Anthony Pina at Ice Fighter, and Jones wasted no time in making him tap out with a guillotine choke in the first round. It was a beautiful submission victory that showcased Jones's versatility in the cage. In his fourth fight against Ryan Verrett at USFL War in the Woods 3, Jones delivered an incredible performance, finishing the fight with a barrage of punches just 14 seconds into the first round. Verrett simply had no answer for Jones's striking skills. At World Championship Fighting 3, Jones faced off against Parker Porter. In just 36 seconds, Jones landed a powerful punch that sent Porter crashing to the mat, securing his fifth win and cementing his status as one of the most exciting fighters in the MMA world. His fight against Moises Gavin at Battle Cage Extreme 5, where he won the USKBA Light Heavyweight Championship with a dominant performance, finishing Gavin with a flurry of punches in the second round. Next up was Andre Gusmao. Jones had accepted the deal on 2 weeks' notice as a late replacement for Thomas Dierwal at UFC 87, and Jones put on a clinic, winning the fight by a unanimous decision after 3 rounds of intense action. Jones displayed innovative striking with aggressive grappling. He followed that up with another unanimous decision victory over Stephan Bonnar at UFC 94. Jones had multiple takedowns on Bonnar, suplexing him and connecting with a back elbow that hurt Bonnar badly. In his third fight of 2009, Jones faced Jake O'Brien at UFC 100, and he submitted him with a guillotine choke in the second round. It was another impressive victory that showed off his well-rounded game. Moving on to 2009, Jones faced Matt Hamill at the Ultimate Fighter Heavyweights finale, and while he dominated the fight and dislocated Hamill's shoulder with a takedown, he was ultimately disqualified for illegal elbows. In 2019, Dana White said he was still attempting to have the result overturned to a no contest by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, but he bounced back in a big way, finishing Brandon Vera with elbows and punches at UFC Live, Vera vs. Jones in just over 3 minutes, earning him the Knockout of the Night award. The knockout resulted in Vera's face breaking in 3 places. His fight against Vladimir Matyushenko at UFC Live, Jones vs. Matyushenko. Jones made quick work of Matyushenko, finishing him with a series of devastating elbows just 1 minute and 52 seconds into the first round. After defeating Matyushenko, Jones stated that he wanted a top 3 opponent for his next fight. Next up was Ryan Bader at UFC 126, and Jones once again demonstrated his submission skills, winning the fight by a guillotine choke in the second round. It was an incredible performance that earned him the Submission of the Night award. Jones was told by Joe Rogan in the post-fight interview that he would replace Evans in the fight for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. In his third fight of 2011, Jones faced off against Mauricio Hua at UFC 128 for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. He dominated the fight from start to finish, finishing heel with a brutal combination of punches and knees in the third round to win the title. Moving on to 2011, Jones defended his UFC light heavyweight championship against Quinton Jackson at UFC 135, submitting him with a rear naked choke in the fourth round. He became the first UFC fighter to submit Jackson, and in his last fight of the year, Jones defended his title once again, this time against Lyoto Machida at UFC 140, winning via technical submission with a guillotine choke in the second round, earning him the Fight of the Night award. Let's start with his fight against Rashad Evans at UFC 145, where he successfully defended his title via unanimous decision after 5 rounds of intense action. Moving on to his next fight, Jones faced Vitor Belfort at UFC 152. Despite almost being submitted via armbar in round 1, Jones successfully defended the belt against Belfort via Americana submission in the 4th round, earning him the Submission of the Night award and another successful defense of his title. Jones was chosen to coach opposite Chael Sonnen on season 17 of The Ultimate Fighter. In his third defense of his title, Jones faced Sonnen at UFC 159, and he made quick work of him, finishing the fight with a barrage of elbows and punches in the first round. It was another dominant performance that showcased his incredible skill and power. In his fourth defense of his title, Jones faced Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 165, and it was an all-out war. After 5 grueling rounds, Jones emerged victorious via unanimous decision, breaking the record for the most consecutive UFC light heavyweight title defenses and earning him the Fight of the Night award. On March 8, 2020, it was announced that the fight will be inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame's Fight Wing. Jones's title defense against Glover Teixeira at UFC 172, where he once again showcased his dominance, winning the fight by a unanimous decision after 5 rounds of intense action. Jones had 50-45 scores across the board. Let's start with his fight against Daniel Cormier at UFC 182. Where he successfully defended his title via unanimous decision after 5 grueling rounds. The fight earned him the Fight of the Night award and showcased his incredible skill and technique, being the first person to take Cormier down, scoring 3 takedowns in total. Moving on to his next fight, on October 23, 2015, the UFC announced that Jones had been reinstated to the active roster. Nearly 6 months after his suspension was announced, Jones faced Ovince St. Preux at UFC 197 for the interim UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. He won the fight via unanimous decision and was set to face Daniel Cormier for the undisputed title. However, he was stripped of the title after testing positive for clomiphene and letrozole prior to the bout. Next, Jones faced Daniel Cormier at UFC 214 for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. He won the fight via a head kick and punches, earning him the Performance of the Night award. However, the win was later overturned and Jones was stripped of the title after testing positive for a turinabol metabolite. In September 2018, it was announced that Jones would serve a suspension of 15 months. Moving on to 2018, Jones faced Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 232 for the vacant UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. He won the fight with punches in the 3rd round, showcasing his incredible power and finishing ability. In the first defense of his second championship reign, Jones faced Anthony Smith on March 2, 2019, in the main event at UFC 235. Jones dominated the fight, but was deducted 2 points in the 4th round after landing an illegal knee to Smith's head. He won the fight by a unanimous decision, with all 3 judges submitting 48-44 scorecards for Jones. Jones faced Thiago Santos on July 6, 2019, in the main event at UFC 239. He won the back and forth match via split decision, defending his title for the 2nd time. In his most recent fight, Jones faced Dominic Reyes at UFC 247 for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. It was another dominant performance, and he won the fight via unanimous decision after 5 rounds of intense action. Jones has set a number of records in the UFC, including the longest unbeaten streak in UFC history, with 18 wins. He also holds the record for the most consecutive wins in the UFC Light Heavyweight division at 13, and the most consecutive title defenses in the UFC Light Heavyweight division with 8. He has the most wins in UFC title fights at 14 and the most wins in UFC Light Heavyweight division fights at 20. Jones has also won 4 Fight of the Night awards, 1 Knockout of the Night award, 2 Submission of the Night awards, and 1 Performance of the Night award. Despite some controversial moments outside the cage, there is no denying the impact that Jon Jones has had on the sport of MMA. From his dominant performances inside the cage to his numerous records and championships, Jones has cemented his legacy as one of the greatest fighters of all time. We can't wait to see what the future holds for this incredible athlete. If you stayed around, please share and like this video, then subscribe to this channel. Also, I have an affiliate link to sports memorabilia in the description if you would like to help out the channel. I got another video right here. Thanks for watching.